Hello students, today we'll talk about the very last topic in the Partnership Act which deals with dissolution of firms. In this chapter we'll talk about the meaning of dissolution of firm, then how dissolution of firm is different from the dissolution of partnership, then what are different modes or methods by which the firm can be dissolved, then lastly about the rights and liabilities of the partners on dissolution of firms. Starting with the meaning. Under Section 39 of Indian Partnership Act 1932, the dissolution of partnership between all the partners of a firm is called as dissolution of the firm. So by dissolution, we basically mean the ending up of the firm or the winding up of the firm. So when the partnership agreement between all the partners comes to an end, it leads to dissolution of the firm. However, there's a difference between dissolution of partnership and dissolution of the firm. For example, there are three partners in a firm, A, B, and C. So among the three partners, partner C leaves the partnership firm. So when the partner C leaves the firm, then the existing partnership agreement comes to an end and a new partnership agreement is formed between the remaining partners, that is A and B. So in this case, the partnership is reconstituted, but the existing partnership has been dissolved. So this is called as dissolution of partnership. So in this case, however, the agreement between all the partners has not come to an end, but only one partner is leaving the firm. So this is the case of the dissolution of partnership. But if the agreement between all the partners come to an end, where all the partners are leaving the firm, then that is called as dissolution of the firm. And in that case, the business closes down and the partnership firm comes to an end. So when one or more partners cease to be the partners, but others continue the business in the partnership, this is called as dissolution of partnership between the outgoing partner on the one hand and the remaining partners on the other hand. So dissolution of partnership does not result in dissolution of the firm. But when the mutual relations between all the partners come to an end, then it amounts to dissolution of the firm. So in case of dissolution of the firm, the business comes to an end and the partnership firm is closed down. So now we can derive the difference between dissolution of firm and dissolution of partnership. The dissolution of firm is wider in scope because dissolution of firm includes dissolution of partnership. But dissolution of partnership is narrow in scope because dissolution of partnership does not necessarily result in dissolution of the firm. In dissolution of firm, the relation between all the partners come to an end. Because all the partners, they leave the firm, so relationship or agreement between all the partners come to an end. But in case of dissolution of partnership, there's a change in relation between the partners. As I've given you one example, there were three partners A, B, and C. When C leaves, C will be called as an outgoing partner. So only the relation between the partners has changed. Now there will be a new partnership agreement between A and B. So the partnership has been reconstituted. The firm has not come to an end. In dissolution of firm, the business is discontinued because all the partners, they leave the firm, so the business comes to an end. But in case of dissolution of partnership, the partnership agreement is revived, it is reconstituted, and the business continues. In case of dissolution of firm, the whole assets are distributed among the partners on dissolution. So when the firm comes to an end, when the firm is wound up, so then whatever are the assets and the profits of the firm, they are divided among all the partners in their profit sharing ratio. But in case of dissolution of partnership, revaluation of the share of each partner is done. So for example, initially there were three partners A, B, and C, and all of them were sharing profits equally. So when partner C retires, now there will be a change in the ratio of the sharing of the profits. Initially they were getting, each of them was getting 1/3 of the share. Now A and B, they will be getting 1/2 of the share in the profit. So with dissolution of partnership, there is a change or revision in the profit sharing ratio. Then lastly, dissolution of firm results in the winding up of the firm. So dissolution of the firm leads to the end of the business, so it leads to winding up of the firm. But dissolution of partnership results in reconstitution of the partnership. So when out of A, B, and C, C leaves, there will be a new partnership agreement between A and B, which is called as reconstitution of partnership. So this chapter basically deals about dissolution of firm. So now we'll talk about different methods or modes by which a firm can be dissolved or a firm can be brought to an end. So these modes can be divided into two categories. Category 1 deals with the dissolution of firm without intervention of the court, and category 2 deals with the dissolution of firm with intervention of the court. So when the firm is dissolved without intervention of the court, it can be dissolved by agreement, compulsory dissolution, dissolution and happening of certain contingency, or dissolution by notice of partnership at will. But if the firm is dissolved with intervention of the court, then it may be dissolved on insanity, permanent incapability, injurious conduct to the partnership business, persistent breach, transfer of whole interest, business carried on at loss, and lastly, dissolution is just an equivalent. So when the partnership firm conducts such kind of business or does such kind of act which is against the law, in that case, court may intervene and dissolve the firm. So now we'll talk about each of this method in detail. First is dissolution of firm without the intervention of court. So there are four ways by which the firm can be dissolved without the intervention of the court. Dissolution by agreement, compulsory dissolution, dissolution and happening of certain contingency, and dissolution by notice of partnership at will. The first is dissolution by agreement. Now there's a popular saying that anything which has been formed by an agreement, it can come to an end by an agreement. So how the partnership firm is created? It is created through an agreement between the partners. So if the partners they enter into an agreement that they want to end the partnership firm, they can do so by entering into a new agreement. So where all the partners they agree to bring the partnership to an end, then they can enter into a mutual agreement and the partnership is dissolved or it comes to an end by agreement. So this mode of dissolution shall apply in all of the cases, that is whether the partnership is for a fixed duration, like the partners they have decided to conduct the business for the 5 years, so the partnership is for the fixed duration. So in that case, even before the expiry of the duration, partners can mutually agree and bring the partnership firm to an end. Second, where the partnership is for a particular venture. Now, like the partners, they have come together and form partnership firm for a particular purpose. So even if before that purpose is completed, the members, the partners, they can mutually agree to bring that partnership firm to an end. And lastly, where the partnership is for uncertain duration. That means it is called as partnership at will. So usually the business here in this case is formed as a going concern and there is no specific venture or specific time period for which the partnership is formed. This type of partnership is called as partnership at will. So even in such case also, the partnership can be dissolved by mutual agreement between all the partners. But one thing must to be kept in mind, the consent of all the partners is necessary to have partnership dissolved by agreement. Second mode without intervention of the court is compulsory dissolution or dissolution by operation of law. So partnership firm is said to be dissolved compulsorily under the following circumstances. So even if these circumstances happen, the partnership firm has to be dissolved. Even if the members or the partners they still want to continue the business, they cannot do the same. So where all the partners die or become insolvent, so obviously where all the partners become insolvent, they're incapable to enter into any contract and incapable to become a partner, or when all the partners die, so eventually the partnership firm is dissolved by law. Second, where all the partners except one die or become insolvent. So for example, there were 5 partners in a firm and of them 4 dies or 4 of them become insolvent. So automatically the partnership firm will be dissolved because there cannot be one partner in any firm. Minimum 2 partners are required in order to run the firm. Then lastly, where because of the happening of some event, the business of the firm become unlawful. So when the firm's business is such that on the passing of certain rule by the government, the business has become unlawful and it is not legal to conduct that business anymore. So obviously, if the business cannot be conducted, so there is no use of that partnership firm. So eventually, it will be dissolved by the operation of law. Third mode is dissolution on happening of certain contingency. Now, contingency mean any kind of uncertain event, the happening of which may lead to the dissolution of firm. So firm may be dissolved if such kind of contingency happen, but it is on the wish of the firm that whether it want to dissolve itself or not. Like in case of compulsory dissolution, the partners may or may not like it, they have to dissolve the firm. But in case of dissolution and happening of certain contingency, the dissolution of the firm is not compulsory. So it is upon the members or the partners to decide whether they want to dissolve the firm or not. So an option is there that is available to the partner if if there happens certain contingency, and then they whether they want to dissolve the firm or not. The cases are that when the partner is adjudicated as an insolvent, or when a partner dies, like usually it happens in the case of an active partner. Like when an active partner dies or become insolvent, usually a partnership firm is dissolved. But it depends upon the and for the other partner, if any kind of other partner dies or become insolvent, it depends upon the will of the company that whether they want to continue or they want to dissolve the firm. Then if the partnership period expires, so obviously if the period expires, then you have to dissolve the partnership. Or if the venture is completed, like the partnership was entered into for a particular purpose, if the purpose is completed, so partnership firm will automatically come to an end. Last is dissolution by notice of partnership at will. Now, partnership at will means that type of partnership which is entered into for an uncertain period. That means no period was mentioned in the agreement that for how long the partnership will be carried on. So, if the partnership is at will, it can be dissolved anytime by giving a notice. But there are certain conditions for such kind of dissolution. The notice can be given by any one partner, but it must be with the consent of all the other partners, and such notice must be served to all other partners. The notice must be in writing, and the notice may also specify that the partnership firm may be dissolved at a particular future date. The notice may be given today to dissolve the partnership firm next year. So if the notice is silent on the date of dissolution, it shall take place from the immediate effect. Now, another mode for ending or winding up the partnership is dissolution of firm with intervention of the court. Now, as per Partnership Act, every partner has a right that it can make an application to the court for it to order the dissolution of the firm. So it doesn't matter whether a partnership firm is operated for a fixed period or for a particular venture. A right is available to every partner that it can make an application to the court and request the court for the winding up of the firm. Now, there are certain grounds on the basis of which every partner can file an application. So, the application for the dissolution of the firm can be filed by any partner on the basis of these 7 grounds. The first is insanity. Insanity means the unsoundness of the mind. So, if any one of the partner becomes insane or he becomes a person of the unsound mind, then any other partner or any person on the behalf of this unsound person can make an application to the court and request the court for the dissolution of firm. Second, permanent incapability. So, when any partner has become in any way permanently incapable to perform his duties as a partner, then at the instance or at the request of other partner, the court may order the dissolution of the firm. Third, conduct injurious to the partnership business. So when one particular partner is guilty of the conduct which is likely to affect prejudicially the carrying on the business of the firm, the court may dissolve the firm on that ground. So if a partner has conducted certain act which is against the partnership business and is guilty of his conduct, so in that case, the partnership business can be wound up, can be dissolved by the court. Then persistent breach of the agreement. Now, if a particular partner persistently, continuously makes breach of the agreement relating to the management of the affairs, then the other partners may not find it suitable to conduct the business with him. So they may like to wound up the or dissolve the partnership firm and make an application to the court for the same. Next, transfer of whole interest. So where a particular partner has in any way transferred the whole of his interest in the firm to the third party, like we have done that a partner has a right that it can give some share of his profits to some other person, that is called a sub-partner. But a partner cannot transfer his entire share of his rights or interest in a firm to the third party. If he does that, in that case, court may order the dissolution of the firm. Then, when the business is carried on only at a loss. So, the object of every partnership is basically to make the profits. So, if it appears that the business of the firm cannot be carried on except at a loss, So any of the partners may apply to the court and request for the dissolution of the firm. Lastly, dissolution is just and equitable. So apart from ordering the dissolution on any of the grounds which have been stated above, the court has the power which are vested with him to dissolve the firm on any of the ground which it seems to be suitable. So, for example, the adultery by one partner with another partner's wife was held to be a good ground for the dissolution of the firm by the court. So, when other than the above six grounds, any other ground has been there which court feels as immoral or as against the public policy or against the law, then it can order the dissolution of the firm, and that is not questionable. Now we'll talk about the rights and liabilities of partners on dissolution of the firms. So when the firm is dissolved or it is wind up, then the partners have certain rights and their liabilities. The first right of the partner is right to have the business wound up. So the very basic right of the partners is that whenever the business is wound up, then whatever are the assets or the properties of the business, they are being sold off. And first of all, the proceeds from that selling off of the assets is used for settling any firm's debts and obligations. So after firm's debts and obligations are being settled up, if any remaining amount is there, that is distributed between the partners in the profit sharing ratio. So this is a right available to the partners to have their remaining share if available. Second right is to have the debts of the firm and the personal debts paid off. So if, for example, some partners, they have some debts on the firm, that is, they have some dues on the firm, and as well as amongst themselves. So first of all, the property of the company, they will be used towards settling the outsider debts, and then afterwards, the debts of the partners will be settled. Similarly, the partners, they can also settle their debts amongst themselves through their use of their personal properties. Third right is right to share personal profits earned after dissolution in certain cases. Now, unless any contract contrary to the same, the partners sometimes they make certain profits even after the dissolution process has been started. So it is a right for all the partners that to have such share in the personal profits which are made by the surviving partners even after the application for the winding up has been made. Another right is right to demand return of the premium. So the partner has paid certain premium on entering into the partnership for a fixed term. Then a proportionate amount of the premium has to be returned back if the partnership expires before ending of that period. If the partnership ends before expiry of that period. So certain partnership has made certain extra contribution more than the capital on entering the partnership firm, and he has paid certain extra premium, and the partnership is for a fixed term. But if the partnership ends before the expiry of that fixed term, he is entitled to get that proportionate share of the premium back. Then rights where partnership contract is rescinded for fraud or misrepresentation. So where the contract ends on account of certain fraud or misrepresentation, so it basically becomes a kind of voidable contract, and the party who is at the guilty of fraud or misrepresentation, it's liable for all the debts of the firm. Last is right to restrain the use of the firm name or firm property. So after a firm is dissolved, every partner, in absence of any contract to the contrary, restrain any other partner from carrying on a similar business in the similar firm name or for using the property of the firm for his own benefit until the affairs have been completely wound up. So when the partnership firm has been wound up, then no partner can start again the same business under the same name. So every other partner can restrain any other partner from using the firm name and for the same business after the firm has been wound up. And also the properties of the firm, they cannot be used for the personal purposes till the winding up procedure has been done. Now we'll talk about certain liabilities of the partners on dissolution of the firm. So first is liability for acts of partners done after resolution. Now, the partners continue to be liable as such to the third parties for any act done by them which would have been an act of the firm if done before the dissolution until public notice is given to the dissolution. So, a partner will continue to be remain liable to the third parties for any act which they have done on the behalf of the firm until a public notice is given to the outsiders or third parties. Then, continuing authority for winding up. After dissolution of the firm, the mutual rights and duties of partners and their authority to bind the firm will continue for the purposes of the winding up of the company and for completing any incomplete transactions even at the time of dissolution. So that basically means that even they have made an application for the wind up, they have to complete their incomplete transaction. So they're liable for the procedures of the transactions of winding up and also for any incomplete transactions which they have entered into before winding up. Last, liabilities to account for personal profits earned after dissolution. So, where a firm is dissolved on account of the death of the partner and the affairs have not been completely wound up, then the surviving partners they shall account for certain profits from that partnership business, and they must pay back it to the firm which they have derived from using the property of the firm and from any transaction of the firm, from using the firm name or from using the business connection of the firm. So even after the firm has been wound up, but still the process of the winding up takes place. If there are certain kind of profits which the surviving partner makes, then they have to return back the profit to the firm and it will be divided among all the existing partners. So this was all about the Partnership Act. We have done about the Act, about its features, the nature of the partnership, essential features of the partnership. Then we talked about the types of partners and rights and duties of the partners. And today we talked about the dissolution of the firm, different methods through which the partnership firm can be dissolved. So we have done the Partnership Act. Next, we'll start about the Negotiable Instrument Act. Thank you, and any doubts and queries are welcomed.